Okay, cool. So it looks like we are at our start time. We've got a good crowd. See a lot of familiar faces. Thanks for joining. Let's formally kick this off then. So today we have Elie from Colony, and they are an up and coming project on Avalanche. Very exciting. It's like a community driven investing platform. And I'll let Elie kind of give an intro to himself and the project. Go ahead, Elie.
Yeah, sure. So very glad to be here. Hi, everyone. So quick intro about myself. So I've been in crypto since 2013. At first as an individual investor, and then I have like a finance background. So I work at firms like Crédit Agricole, UBS, here in France, Paris, but also in New York. And early 2017, I decided to focus 100% of my time in crypto. So in different ways, I helped several projects. Then I was part of the initiative to build one of the first VC fund here in Europe. And early 2019, I co-founded Exo Alpha, which is a hedge fund. It's like a directional, systematic, quantitative hedge fund with a long-short strategy on Bitcoin and Ether. So that is, we're doing like a $500 million trading volume per month, and we are regulated by the FCA. So pretty established business in the space. And you probably maybe have found some research that we made on the crypto space. We have like about 150 different articles on CoinDesk, Cointelegraph. So yeah. And last year I came across Avalanche, so at first the consensus and then the platform. And actually earlier this year, I really wanted to involve myself more to be able to foster the growth on the Avalanche ecosystem. And after several talks with Ava Labs, I had this idea of Colony, which is essentially um, a way to deploy capital within the entire ecosystem. So on early stage projects, so deploying capital on early stage projects, also providing liquidity to early stage protocols and well established protocols to maximize yield. Having also this stacking capability. So at first, staking AVAX and then staking other subnets as they go live, and if we're able to participate. So the idea is to be able to validate, transactions and be part of that process as well. And also deploying capital to maintain an index of the top 10 projects on Avalanche by market cap. So that's, initially how Colony is going to deploy capital. And the way it's very different from, like any other VCs or hedge funds, is that it's community driven. So the way it's going to work is that our community will be able to decide and vote on the deal flow that is in Colony. They will be able to invest in those projects. So they will be able to actually to vote to if Colony should invest or not in those projects. So essentially, it will be our community deploying the capital inside Colony. And at the end of the day, it's our community that will receive all the created value made by those investments. So, if you look at traditional VCs, you have several LPs behind this investment vehicle, and they are getting all the created value back to them. So you have a lot of VCs in the ecosystem, and actually the growth of those projects benefits mostly a few people. So here with Colony, we want to switch that vision and say that Colony will be here to support project very, very early. But at the same time, once the project is live trading, it will not be one VC holding those tokens, but actually it will be an entire community. So it's great for the Avalanche community because they'll be able to participate in so many projects. And at the same time, it's also very good for projects because they will not have like 5 or 10 VCs in their seed or private sale. but they will have probably like 9 VCs plus Colony, and Colony will redistribute all those tokens to its community. So for those projects, it's adoption almost instantly once they're live. So they will have not like dozens of people holding their tokens, but they will have like thousands of them. So yeah, I can talk about that for hours. So just let me know if you have like specific questions.
Hey, thanks for that intro about Colony and also your own journey. I have a couple of comments to make. I just first want to say it's very impressive to hear your background and what you have already accomplished in the traditional finance space. It's very promising to see people like yourself who are already very successful kind of take that leap and want to build into DeFi and Avalanche specifically. I think that speaks to how mature the space is now that we have top talent building in the space. That's great to see. And I also want to say that it really resonates with me the vision you described of kind of taking value and power from the VCs and people who already have a lot of money and kind of balancing it out to regular people who want investment opportunities but don't have access, right? That's a big issue I see in the traditional finance
Yeah,
world, and that's
definitely.
and yeah, so it's great to hear that overview of Colony. So a few more topics I want to cover today. So I want to talk about Avalanche. I want to talk about your CLY token.
Sure.
And so why don't we talk about the token first? I think that's a good segue. Tell us about your CLY token and how it's used in the platform.
Yeah, sure, of course. So Colony token would be used for several things. So if we just take a look at first, what you can do with the token, and then we can jump into rewards associated to it. So at first you'll be able to buy Colony token on centralized exchange and decentralized exchanges. Then you'll be able to stack those tokens inside Colony's platform. And if you are stacking a minimum amount, which will be very low, and if you are stacking that for 20 days, then you will have access to more functionality inside the platform. So those functionality are essentially have access to the entire deal flow inside Colony. You will be yourself be able to upload your own deal flow. So meaning you'll be able to upload like a new project. So you will have like a list of those different projects, and the project that you like and that makes sense to you, you'll be able to upvote those projects. So this is like an idea where people inside Colony will see what is going on in the very early stage market on the Avalanche ecosystem, and they'll be able to upvote that to put first the project that they really like. We can go into more details about that. The idea is then to have like an analysis node that would be made either by the community or by Colony's core team itself. So we are essentially building the tools for people to have like a very streamlined approach and very organized towards being able to make an investment in like an early stage project. So without like telling too much about it, the idea is to have like this voting governance power on early stage side. At the end of the day, the core team of Colony will be here to structure things, also be able to jump on calls with the early stage projects, figuring out. Sorry, it's the end of the day here. How we should structure the deal, so ticket size, allocation, these sort of things. And ultimately, it will be up to the community to decide if they want to invest or not. And we have like a couple of mechanisms there to prevent market manipulation. But yeah, so that's what we'll be able to do with Coin Token in terms of voting power inside the early stage program. but we're going to also have like other programs. So especially on providing liquidity. So you also be able there to upvote the protocol that you like in order to deploy capital there. And then you'll be able to make some more like macro voting on capital deployment. So let's say we're entering like a bear market, and you don't think that, and the community is not like comfortable with the idea of deploying 50% of the capital in early stage projects, we'll be able to decrease that amount in order to deploy more into, for example, providing liquidity to protocols, in order to wait for better opportunities, for example. So this is like on the what you can do with your token, like the true utility of the token inside Colony. So it's like a DAO, but it's very very inclusive. So if you take the DAO on Ethereum, it's pretty exclusive in the sense that you can participate only if you have like 300 Ether. Here with Colony, you will be able to participate even like with very few Colony tokens. So very inclusive. In terms of rewards, so as I mentioned earlier, the idea is to then be able to incentivize everyone to participate in that governance process and to stake Colony token. So everyone staking Colony's token for more than 20 days will have access to the benefit of this capital deployment, meaning AVAX staking rewards, meaning Colony token rewards if you're actively participating in the governance, and most of all, like you will have access to all those airdrops of very promising project building on top of Avalanche. So yeah, that's the idea. And I talked about that with Mark from Avalanche, for example, and I told him that it's like for the past 2 years we've been talking about yield farming, on DeFi, and I think with Colony, what we would like to push forward is ecosystem farming in a way, where through only one coin you're able to have access to an entire ecosystem. So it's appealing for people that are already in that ecosystem and that are like very that want to have like involve themselves in another way to help also all of those projects that Colony will provide funding for. But it's also appealing to other people on other ecosystems because Colony want to truly focus on Avalanche and nothing else. So those people, if you like Solana or Terra and you want to stay there, well, through Colony token, you'll be able to have access to the growth of the Avalanche ecosystem only with buying one token. So that's also why we have like big VC that are backing Colony from the beginning, because they just see the value here long term of Colony being very important in the Avalanche ecosystem on helping all those projects, and for them it's also going to be like a huge source of deal flow. So yeah, but I'm talking too much.
No, it's great. I'm glad you're sharing all of this information about Colony and the Colony token with our community. I think everyone is very excited and just wanting to learn more, and especially new and innovative platforms like this. Just one more follow up about the token. When is the public sale and how can users participate in that? What platform?
Yeah, sure. So that's a big topic. So to give everyone here like a sense of the timeline, so we closed Colony seed round back in early September. So this is already public information. So we have the Avalanche Foundation. We have several people from the Avalanche ecosystem, like Avalanche, the Launchpad. We have Yildiak also, and we're going to work closely with them. So with Avalanche for the early stage part, and with Yildiak to provide liquidity in the space. And we also have like big VCs that I mentioned, like GBV Capital, NGC Ventures, and we have other like great names like Avatar, Synapse, and others. Now it's the private sale. So the private sale is closed now for strategic partnerships. But it's we opened like a what we wanted to do is to onboard our own community inside the private sale. So 2 weeks ago, actually 1 to 2 weeks, so we closed the registration for the private sale Monday, last week on Monday. We've been working um, on how to onboard most of them in our private sale. So the registration are closed now, and we are going to announce tomorrow like the process for them to join. So this is like the opportunity for early community to have access to Colony's private sale, and we wanted to do that because it's like in the long run, Colony will enable people to have access to early stage deals, and so we wanted to start by ourselves. So we're glad to have like a lot of our early supporter on Telegram specifically to allow them to join the private sale. So I know that they've been waiting like a long time like 1 week and a half now for the results. So I just want to say to those people that are listening now that we're doing the best we can to onboard as many of them as possible, and that they will be on the same round as like big VCs. So it's a great opportunity, I think. And yeah, so we're going to close that early November. They will be able to contribute starting tomorrow and next week. And then we're going to have the public sale. So the public sale, it's not set in stone yet, but it will happen between like late November, early December. So what is public information is that we're going to do an IDO on Avalanche, the launchpad. So I've been working with Mark like very closely since the beginning of Colony, and they've been very helpful. They supported us and bring like incredible value to Colony. So most of the public sale will happen there. And we're also going to work with MXC. So that's not public information, but I can share it with you, and you can easily understand that because they were on the seed round. So we're going to work with them to have like an initial listing on a centralized exchange, and like an IEO with them for a smaller allocation on the public sale. So what you can expect is to have Colony listed on centralized exchanges beginning of December, and of course on decentralized exchanges as well. And we are happy to work with the team at Pangolin here to make that happen. And yeah, so that's sort of the roadmap.
Awesome. Thanks for walking us through that, not just the public sale, but just being very transparent about the seed rounds and the private rounds. It's great that you're working with Mark from Avalanche. He's so great in the entire platform.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I really like to be like transparent. Like at the end of the day, this is a community driven project, so I really want everyone to be able to involve themselves. I want to be as transparent as possible. At the beginning of the journey, we need to have like some sort of centralized operations just to make sure that everything can move forward very fastly and very effectively. But the idea is really to decentralize everything at the end. So I'm always as transparent as possible and sharing as much information as possible as well.
I really appreciate that. That's awesome. So that was a great overview of the CLY, the Colony token. And I'd like to shift topics a bit and talk about Avalanche itself. Can you tell us why you chose Avalanche as your network of choice?
Yeah, sure, definitely, definitely. So as I mentioned earlier, so I've been in crypto for like quite some time now. Um, so I've seen like many sort of new layer ones, um, and you know we all have like had like great hope for some of them. But at the end of the day, what truly matters is the technology, how decentralized it is, how fast and how scalable and everything. So I felt confident, looking at the consensus of Avalanche. Just to talk about that at first, that there was like a great market fit for to build project on. Um, so I think on this Twitter space, we have like mostly people from the Avalanche ecosystem. So you already know that it's great because it's very fast, it's cheap, and at the same time it's truly decentralized. And even people are arguing that it's not that decentralized. It actually is and will be even more in the future. Um, so that's part of the story, and the other part is the platform that they built on top is really well thought. I think so. I've worked with like many projects in the past. We've seen a lot of corporate entities, and I worked with listed companies to implement like blockchain technology. Um, and it's just like so hard for them to do so. Like the technical skills needed to build like a true blockchain that would be usable for them and their and other companies. Like it's very hard to achieve. And so here with the subnets functionality on the Avalanche platform, I think that makes a lot of sense, and I see that as like blockchain as a service. And I think now this is just the tip of the iceberg. We everyone is a lot of people are bridging to Avalanche because of the C chain, because it's EVM compatible, so you can do everything that you do on Ethereum, but faster, cheaper. Um, but I think in the future we're going to see an incredible growth on the subnets, um, and that's really where I think we're going to see the most value added. Um, so I'm pretty thrilled about like this subnet functionality. I would like Colony to switch to a subnet at some point. Um, and yeah, I think we don't even know for now like what are the possibilities here with this subnet functionality. But that's mainly why I think Avalanche is the best platform out there to build projects on and to support new infrastructures.
That's a great overview of why people should be excited about Avalanche and building on Avalanche, and also using it as a user and investor. At Pangolin, we're also very excited about subnets. I think all of the Avalanche OGs, so to speak, um, are originally excited because of that. Those infinite possibilities of building into subnets and custom virtual machines. And what's impressive is Avalanche is already so popular because the C chain, because DeFi works great here.
Yeah,
The low cost of transactions and the speed and the bridge. And that's just the tip of the iceberg, really, right? There's so much more to build.
exactly. Yeah, definitely, definitely. Yeah.
Great. So I appreciate that overview of why Avalanche. I think a lot of us resonate with those views. Um, so I have a couple more topics to cover. If anyone has questions, please save them for the end. We'll save some time to let people on to ask us questions. So I'm curious, Elie, about the sales that happen on Colony. Do you have any projects in mind yet? And what do you look for when you vet these projects?
Yeah, sure. So that's a great question. And the tricky one, because so now we are starting to deploy capital in early stage projects, just because we want to kickstart, colony as entire mechanism, and we want, once we're live, to be actually able to get back to our community very early, in order for them to just understand how things works. Um, so I think that's great, but at the same time, um, we don't involve the community in that process for now, because we don't have like the infrastructure to do so. So in the best of I mean, the best case scenario will have been to involve the community to deploy this capital, even if colony is not live. But without the tools, it's just not possible. And sometimes you need to move, really quickly. So we already started to deploy capital. We're going to announce like the project that we have invested in the future. Um, but yeah, like I can say that we already made like several investments, and we are going to continue to do so in November, in order for people to truly enjoy, the benefit of colony once we're live in December. Um, so the way it's going to work once it's live and once all the functionalities are available, it's going to be, truly in the hands of the community to decide which project they want to invest in. So we're going to streamline the entire process, just to make sure that, like there is like a very professional approach towards this investment from the community. Um, so we also know that, sometimes the community will choose bad projects. Sometimes the community, and this is going to depend also on our own community, right? Who do we have on our community? Um, so we can invest in like great projects and some other not so great projects. At the end of the day, I think the idea is to deploy this capital to be able to foster the growth of the entire ecosystem. Um, but yeah, so truly in the end of the community, we're going to have like so in Colony we're going to have also advisors. So we're going to announce some of them in November. So initially, people from the Avalanche ecosystem, so people from Ava Labs, for example, from big projects that can bring a value in our investment committees, um, and that can, share their insights on those early stage projects, in order for the community to have like also those opinions to make the best investment decision possible. So let's say you have, um, well, we don't want that obviously, but let's say you have like BitConnect 2.0 on Avalanche in January, and the community wants to invest. So obviously, we're going to, so the core team of Colony and advisors will say that, you don't want to invest in this project for XYZ, reasons. So this way we'll be able to actually provide like very good insights to our community in order to not make those investments. So we want to guide the community, but ultimately we won't make decisions instead of, I mean, we won't do the decisions. They will make those decisions of investing or not. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, definitely. I like that it's mostly going to be driven by the community. That's the vision. And also the teaching and knowledge transfer of just educating both new and existing investors on the best way to choose projects, right? Because that's one of the hardest parts, I think,
Yeah.
getting into the space, figuring out which projects are legitimate and will actually perform well. And now you've created an entire platform for this, which is awesome.
Yeah, exactly. It's not going to be easy, I think. Um, but yeah, we truly have like that vision to to truly help the community to make the right decisions here. Yeah, for sure.
Great. So I think that's a good segue into one of my final questions. And this is about new investors and new users into DeFi. Can you talk a bit about why look into the crypto DeFi space for investments and why look into DeFi as a user as well?
Yeah, sure. So to be specific on why joining like a DeFi, I think I think if you have like some capital on your bank account, you can easily understand that it doesn't provide any added value. So the interests are very low. At least in France, it's very low for sure. So it depends on countries that you're in, but you can find like very great yield on DeFi, and you don't have like to take the volatility risk. You can just like stay on USDTE, USDCE if you like. For example, O Finance, I think it's a great platform for that. Um, so then it depends on your risk profile, I will say. Um, if you want to have like take more risk, you have of course higher returns. Um, so like anywhere from liquidity mining to more risky with borrowing and lending. So the lending side uh, can be um, can be great, in terms of yield, as I mentioned earlier. Then you can also borrow. I think now with the Rush program going on, there is a lot of opportunity. So I don't want to say too much here because I don't want to make like investment advice or anything like that. But I think to everyone, you should very check like what can be the sort of yield that you can find on the Avalanche ecosystem now is very unique, I believe, with the Rush program. Um, and I think there is great tools to compare those yields. So obviously, I think YieldYak is a great platform for that. But I have a bias here because we are working with them. But I think I really like like the native application on Avalanche. So I think YieldYak great. They did like an incredible job. So yeah, that's my 2 cents on DeFi. I just don't want to say too much about where to go or anything like that because I don't want to provide any investment advice. But yeah.
That was great insight. Thanks. I appreciate that. And yeah, I think leaders of projects, founders, team members have to be cautious about how they suggest investments, just because of legal and regulatory issues. So that's why Elie can't specifically say go buy these tokens, but that's good insight too. And I echo your sentiment that like everyone on this call, everyone who's made it onto the Avalanche C chain and is aware of Avalanche, that's already, a lot of alpha and getting ahead of people who don't have this type of knowledge or access to early stage projects and tokens, right? I think,
Yeah.
first of all, just being in crypto is already being ahead of the curve. Uh, Interacting with DeFi, it puts you even more ahead of the curve. I think something like less than 10% of wallets with funds actually interact in DeFi. And then actually getting onto an L1 that's not Ethereum, like an Avalanche, puts you even further ahead of the curve. So there's so much, so much greatness going on here in terms of opportunity.
Yeah, definitely. And once again, with the current Rush program, I think every yield that you can find is boosted in one way or another. And I think that's just it's not going to last too long. Um, so all depends on which program, but the overall program, I think they announced like for 3 months or so. I know that for some projects it might last longer than that, but yeah, it's just you have like a optimized yield thanks to that program. Um, so it's great. To me, I think it's great to participate and to maximize yield with that.
Yeah, Avalanche Rush has been awesome. The timing of it and how they structured everything, bringing in all these projects and users, it's been incredible to see.
Yeah, they had like a very great market timing, being able to have the bridge up first, uh, and then announce that. It's no, it's easy for everyone to bridge from Ethereum and now other chains as well. So it's great. And actually, when I go back to Ethereum sometimes because I need to, for example, to pay service providers. And when you look at the fees of those transfer, uh, you're like, oh, okay, that it's. I know why so many people are now building on Avalanche, and like it's easy to understand why it makes sense just by using actually the products.
Definitely, for sure. I used the bridge this week, and my mind is still blown after using it, like 5 or 10 times. Every time I'm amazed how fast and cheap it is too. But so I think we covered a lot of good topics. Appreciate you walking us through Colony, your personal journey, the CLY token, and just in general how the platform works. Do you have any
Yeah,
final questions or thoughts before we turn it over to questions from the community?
yeah, sure. Maybe one thing to mention here. So the vision behind Colony, I think we can take this very far. So now, like what I've been presenting to investors, so all the VCs and what the community will have access to in terms of documentation very soon. I think this is just V1 of Colony, in the sense that we are raising capital that we are going then to deploy inside the Avalanche ecosystem, empowering the community uh, as much as possible. But then there is like V2, and we are starting to see how we could build that as well. So V2 will be essentially the same thing. Uh, but on top of that, we would like to have a pool of capital where people will be able to provide, let's say, USDT, E, or USDC, for example. And then this pool of capital will then be deployed by Colony's community inside the Avalanche ecosystem. So very much working like what we are doing in V1, but it will be dynamic in V2. So people will be able to provide capital to that pool and also withdraw capital from that pool. And so there will be like a locking mechanism, of course. But the idea is to have this capital flowing into the Avalanche ecosystem and to sustain like all those projects that might be, all those promising projects coming up. So that's one thing. So for people holding CLY, what will change on V2? Pretty much nothing. But they will just have like an extra incentive, an extra reward. They will take like a fee on that capital that is, on those smart contracts. So the Colony's community will take a fee to manage basically that capital. So this way, we'll have like a TVL on Colony. We'll be able to make even more investments, provide even more liquidity, and hopefully, provide a very good yield to people providing capital to that pool. So that would be V2. It's pretty ambitious. So it will be live probably end of next year or the year after that. And we're going to build that with our community. So we want to have like feedbacks on how we should build that. So that's the vision for V2, and then vision for V3. It's essentially having this highly regulated fund structure on top of that, so usually people in crypto, like they want to be regulated, or they want to move towards like regulation, but it's very hard for them to do so in some cases. Here for V3, I think it will be pretty easy for us, just because I'm already running like a Exo Alpha, which is highly regulated, like a hedge fund. So, we're regulated by the FCA through Teleorient Capital Management. So it will be easy for us to set up this highly regulated fund structure that will attract capital from private banks, family offices, and institutional investors, broadly speaking. They'll be able to commit capital to that fund, and that fund would then invest this capital through the DAO, so through like the pool that we are building on V2. So this way, even more capital will be floating in the Avalanche ecosystem, and we will truly be able to bridge, traditional finance to DeFi, and specifically to the Avalanche ecosystem. So yeah, and that V3, I don't know where we're going to launch that. Probably like 2023 or after that. But yeah, like we have like a very long term vision. That's just what I wanted to highlight at the end. Very long term vision, and if you're building like a project on Avalanche, you can reach out to me, to the team. We'll be happy to help you do so. We'll be happy. The role of Colony will also to like build a strong network for those projects. So we are already helping a few, and we'll be happy to help many more. And yeah, that's about it.
Wow, that was amazing. The V2 and the V3. It's great to see the long term vision of the project. And so the V2 sounds like you're actually like staking or farming with capital VC opportunities. That sounds very unique. I haven't heard of that one. And then the V3 wants to kind of blend the TradFi and the DeFi, which is a very ambitious goal that a lot of projects have, and we're just trying to figure out how to make that work in this space, right?
Yeah, exactly. I think well, my mind is pretty clear on the V3 because we already have like a highly regulated fund structure, and we are already talking with so many family offices and private banks, and they are all looking at crypto. But the thing is, they just cannot move forward, and usually it's because it is not structured in a way that they're able to move forward. So, for example, family offices, or especially more like private banks, they will want like a ISIN code, because they just have like a terminal. They just put the name of the ISIN code, and then with that they're able to invest and deploy their capital. So we know how it works, and I think we'll be able to. And I'm sure we'll be able to build that um, regulated structure for them to be able to move forward and actually deploy this capital. And in the case of Colony, specifically to the Avalanche ecosystem. And by the way, as we are going to deploy that through, so the V3 will just be like this investment structure on top. We're going to deploy this capital in the fund in the V2, and so the community will be able to take a fee on that as well. So, once again, very beneficial for everyone.
Yeah, that is incredible to hear. I think there's so much capital that wants exposure to crypto and DeFi, and there's just no easy way for them to get that exposure, whether it be regulatory or risk management. And I think that's why things like this Bitcoin ETF that's coming out are so big, because all of a sudden it's exposed to all these different vehicles and things like what you're working on a smaller scale, working with these smaller firms to get them exposure. That's great to hear.
Yeah, thanks.
Awesome, awesome, cool. So I think this is a good time to open it up to our listeners. If anyone has a question, hit the request speaker button. We'll let you on to ask a question. And if you don't feel comfortable speaking, you can hit up one of our Telegrams or Discords or Twitters. Just shoot us a message with your question and we'll get that answered. Okay, just going to wait maybe 30 more seconds in case anyone thinks of anything. Okay, I see that Val wants to come on. Hey, Val, how are you?
Hi, sorry, do you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Can you hear me? Yeah. Thank you. Well, thank you. That was really interesting. Well, you said you have a really long-term vision, and I just wanted to ask you, why are you lock only 3 years, I guess?
Well, so that was just to in terms of the 3 years. It's so the V2 will be, yeah, I think end of next year. But then there is like many things that I didn't talk about in this call. So for example, we would like to build also like a colony studio at some point. The idea is for developers to be able to upload their profile on Colony, and we will be able to match that with the current deal flow that we have in order to truly help those projects with potential developers, and at the same time, it will be a place for developers that are really looking at the Avalanche ecosystem uh, to find like some opportunities. Um, but yeah, like and also as it's going to be community driven, um, like so people we come with ideas to share, and we can move forward on other aspects as well. Um, but like it's like any project, like any other project, it will take time to build. So especially like V3, once it's established, you need to go out there, you need to spread the word about like Colony, the Avalanche ecosystem, where you need to join and everything. So it will take some time for sure. But it's just not like when I was talking about long-term vision. We have a dedicated team here that really like what we do, and it's just not like a project where we have this cool idea and we're going to just push that to the market, and once it's live, then we're done with it, right? It's something that we are going to build, that we are building now, that we are going to build in the future, and that will evolve. um, and yeah, and like I think I have many ideas, so for example, with Avalanche, we could build like an incubation program. um, we have like a Pangolin here, so we can also at the end of the day have like this very decentralized approach towards launching projects. So Colony would take care of the primary market, where Pangolin could join for the secondary market, and have those like very well structured deals for people that are just building to launch their tokens, and to have like a community along with it. So it's we are here for the long run, and yeah, that was what I was referring to when I was saying long-term vision. I hope that's helped in terms of regarding your question.
Thank you. Yes, thank you very much.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
Hey, thanks for that question. So I see we have Nicola coming on for a
Yeah,
question.
it's me. Hello, hello. My question is it's really grateful to see how it's beautiful to see the Avalanche system growing up all together, and my question is: do you have any project or collaboration with a partner like Trader Joe or another one? What do you doing together, or you growing up alone?
So I'm not sure I understand the question. You mean if Colony has like partnership with other people from the
Yeah,
Avalanche
with the
ecosystem?
yeah with another Avalanche system, different system like you.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so in terms of partnership, so we're going to announce quite a few. So what is already announced, we have like a partnership with Avalanche, so the launch pad of the ecosystem. Um, I think this is going to be like a very long term relationship with them, especially on the early stage program. Um, Being able to launch, like some of the project that we are investing in with the community directly on Avalanche. That will truly bring added value here for those projects. Then in terms of providing liquidity, so I mentioned Yield Jack earlier in this call. So yeah, we are working with them on being able to have like the highest yield possible, and also to provide liquidity to very early stage protocols. So that's one thing. Then for example, if you look at CLY on the Avalanche ecosystem, I think that there will be quite a reference in terms of NFT with their platform and things like that. So we don't have like a partnership with them.
Yeah.
We don't have, we didn't sign like a partnership, but at the end of the day, they are French guys. I'm French, so we are talking.
Okay,
And
thanks. I
and
have another question, if I can. I think I can buy with my credit card on Avalanche on Pangolin. It's amazing. Am I right?
Yeah, that's our integration with Wire.
Yeah.
Yep.
And can I in the future spend my, I don't know, Pangolin or Avalanche in I don't know, the game? Do you think I can spend my token in another projects? I don't know, the supermarket. I don't know, like this.
Yeah, you're asking if you can spend Avalanche tokens in the real world. Is that the
Yeah,
question?
yeah.
Yeah, I think that's very possible. I don't know of too many use cases. I know there's one integration where you can buy gift cards already with Avalanche. I know that we're talking to some traditional like travel companies to see if you can just use Avox or PNG to pay for travel. And I think you're going to see a lot more of this as the infrastructure gets built out. The desire is there from both parties, and it's just about the time and the infrastructure getting it set up.
Yeah,
Does that
it's
answer your
really amazing.
question? Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for coming on for the questions. Great. So does anyone else want to ask a question? If not, we could probably wrap up today. Okay. So just want to say thanks to Elie for coming on. It's been great.
yeah, thank you all for listening. It was great to share the vision, the mission of Colony, and maybe last few words about it. Feel free to come on our Telegram channel, follow us on Twitter to be updated with the latest news, and yeah. If you have any other questions, you can ask them on our Telegram chat, and we'll be happy to answer you there.
Awesome. Thanks for that wrap up, Elie. Okay, this is our Twitter Spaces with Colony, and this is Leo from Pangolin. Thank you, everyone, for coming on, and have a great day.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.